because I've been asked to do it, to read out a statement from my journalists union, MIA. And that's also Julian Assange's journalists union. He was granted an honorary lifetime membership from MIA under the previous director. This statement is signed by its current president, Karen Percy. Now folks, I'm not going to say these are not my words, but I have highlighted a couple of things that I would just like to clarify for you because I think it's quite important to do so. So here it goes. The continued pursuit of Julian Assange is a direct threat to media freedom around the world. From the outset, the Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance has stood up for Julian, not just because he's one of our members, but because of what the case is against him. It represents, for the role of journalism and journalists, a threat, and it threatens sources that we rely on. I'm sorry, I didn't put on my glasses, so I'm doing my best. It's been great to see Australian delegations visit the US to lobby for his release. Disappointingly, there seems to be little will from those who could change the outcome for Julian to do so. In fact, for all the talk of commitment to supporting the role of journalism in our society, our leaders are betrayed by their actions. The most recent case, of course, that of whistleblower David McBride, who was acting in the interest of the public by briefing journalists, but is being punished for doing so, exposing the wrongdoing of soldiers on the battlefield, as David and Julian have done, is important in holding the powerful to account. But the public's right to know is imperiled when those who are brave enough to speak out are charged and imprisoned. The media in Australia is currently facing one of its most testing times. The current violence in Gaza and the information that war that surrounds it, pose great challenges for journalists trying to inform audiences and readers. Propaganda and fake videos and photos on social media and add a toxic mix to an already tense situation where views are entrenched and trust in short supply. When credible whistleblowers with evidence are crushed, what hope do we have when war crimes are committed in the current climate? We hope that the authorities will soon come to their senses and release Julian. Our thoughts are with his family and support network. It's signed by Mia. Now, what I think really requires clarification, there's a point to it. David and Julian are grouped together here. Legally speaking, they are quite different. It would be more appropriate, you know that Julian is a journalist and David McBride a heroic whistleblower. They both deliver us information, but they're different from the outset. They have different challenges facing them. So Julian would be more appropriately compared to Dan Oakes from the ABC, whom the CDPP, right, Commonwealth Direction of Public Prosecutions, gave a public interest reason to the AFP not to prosecute Dan. And the AFP followed that advice. Now, why is there no consistency between Dan Oakes and Julian Assange? And why is there no public interest for David McBride when the person who actually passed it on to us He's doing that in the public interest. It's inconsistent. So I think it's important that we understand the difference and we push to expand that definition of public interest and how it is applied to the people who bring us truthful information. The second point that I would kind of draw exception to is his focus on social media as source of toxicity. I think the most dangerous, toxic, harmful, and widely disseminated lies are the official lies. And we have lots of information. I brought my visual aid. Anyone recognize the van? Where does that van come from? Who recognizes the van? It's from the collateral murder video. Well, just up above, and I'm just going to lay these out. I don't have time to go through them all, but you can do that because they're all self-explanatory. This was the official story originally that was given to Reuters by the military. The generals didn't show Dane Yates, the van part, because there was an obvious war crime. He didn't see that, and he was led to believe it was his cameraman's fault why he got shot. So we had WikiLeaks to actually bring us the truth, and we had the whistleblower, Chelsea Manning. You know, in more modern times, we have terrible lies that some people here today can relate to. The Al Jazeera was accused of publishing a photo of a plastic doll pretending that it was a baby, a dead baby. Well, they were exposed by this little known independent outlet. I've never heard of them before. They're called Boom. And folks, his name was Mohammed Hani al-Zahar. It was a real child. So these kinds of toxic lies, we had Mark Regev, Melbourne-born Mark Regev, chief advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu, telling us to take the figures about the dead, the numbers, with a grain of salt. I quote him there. But, you know who else we have? We have Iraq body count. And some of you might remember them because they requested of WikiLeaks that they use their data. What they did was prove those people died by finding out their names, by getting their ID numbers. Their ID numbers to show the public their original names and then transliterations into English. So, and the actual number in the list of dead, and tragically, their age. So many less than a year old. And the proof in the end, in the analysis. After rigorous research and analysis from an unbiased party, John Sloboda testified in Julian Assange's extradition hearing. He was the founder of Iraq Body Count. He's not from Iraq. It's just a job that he does. He tries to bring justice. And David McBride said recently, give them a name. Find out what their names are so that people can have empathy. Because what's being done here, misleading us, that's to short-circuit our empathy. So we don't finally say, this is enough. We're not going to take it anymore. But lots of people are. Now, I was going to say one more word in response to, I don't know, who heard David Shoebridge speak in the Senate with Penny Wong and ask her about the recent Supreme Court ruling in the UK in relation to the Rwandan refugees. Now, Craig Murray published an article saying this ruling gives hope for Julian Assange. Why is that? Because the ruling was that it is no longer the business of a Home Secretary to determine if a country is a safe country. What would she know after a couple of diplomatic notes? It has to be done in a court, by the Supreme Court, with solid evidence. Track history, current situation now, and it has to be assessed by judges. Now I have a second, so of course that applies to Julian's case, because now really David is asking, well, we should take a look at this, because Sir Priti Patel determined that it was a safe country, actually safe prisons that Julian Assange was being sent to, but the lower court judge didn't determine that. She determined that it was so bad, and the expert witnesses said they were so bad that he would surely commit suicide, and all of the expert medical witnesses agreed, right? So the thing is, if it's not the job of the Home Secretary to determine the safety of a country, is it the job of a judge, no matter how high his rank is? And I'm talking about Lord Chief Justice Ian Burnett, who ignored the fact that Julian Assange had a stroke in court. His medical condition has really changed. So there's a second reason why a judge is not to determine she'll be right mate for Julian with a bottle of his anti-stroke medication in his pocket when he's bundled off to a hellhole. That's just looking for trouble. And there are two good reasons now why Julian Assange's extradition case in relation to US assurances needs urgent review, and we should push for that. Thank you.